Brad Williams, Labor Compliance Group. This is a series of videos tied to the new DIR software system. And by now you should be pretty well armed in terms of navigating all of this stuff. But I'm going to follow up here, a couple more videos with some of the nuances and how critical it is to just be armed with, I know I use that word armed, because you are going into battle. You're going in and you're doing a California Public Works project. And if you screw up, well, the damage is just, it's a business breaker. I mean, it will put you into serious problems. And I deal with a lot of contractors after the fact. They get what's called a civil wage penalty assessment, and that is an investigation by DIR for possible underpayment of prevailing wages. And the penalties are devastating. And my job is to try to remedy that the best I can. And I work with contractors every day that run into this problem. Why? Because they are winging it, and you can't wing it when you do this. With that being said, let's just go in a couple different areas. We're going to eCPR search. We're going to talk about that briefly. Contractor registration search, again, another search mechanism, and a project registration search. And this is where it gets really screwy because DIR has made a lot of mistakes and they're trying to figure it out. eCPR search, it took them a year to try to work this thing out, and it's still a nightmare. So from your perspective, either as a subcontractor or as a contractor, you need to have this project ID number. If you don't have this project ID number, I'll just show you. What's critical here are dates. So let's not get carried away here because the amount of information that this database has is, well, I think they have 40 to 50 years of project history here. So keep it short and to the sweet. Don't go any further than 3 months back. The reason being, if you don't have your project ID number, I'll show you what happens. So I'm just going to go back. Oh, here it is, the 17th. I'm just going to go back to the first. You have to put this information in here. You have to. So we're just going to go 9/1 through to date, 17th. I don't have a project ID number. My project name, there's 4 different names they've given me. And I have a contractor name. That would be you. But then the spelling could be wrong. But it's in the city of, and I'll just try to keep it city of Sacramento. Well, I'm just going to put a awarding body. I'm just going to put Sacramento for simplicity. RAMENTO. And we're going to get a search. And this could take a minute, so just be patient. And I only did it for 14 days. If you go back further, it's going to possibly list. See, there's 275 listings from 9/1 to 9/17. And now it's up to you to try to figure out where your project is. And now you're going to pay someone probably 40 minutes to go through this thing to try to match your contractor name, which could be wrong. Your registration name may be abc.com or ABC company, but then somebody entered it ABBC. This would all be the awarding agent. So you could see how important it is to have this project ID number. This is your driver. This has to be enforced. In other words, you have to demand this from the awarding agent. Otherwise, you're going to spend countless time trying to go through and find your project. Why do you need your project? Because you need to tie your certified payrolls to this project ID number or this project name. So you're going to have to be able to match the awarding body. And you could see here, anything related to Sacramento, you're going to get just tons of information. So you could probably narrow this down to, let's say, city of Sacramento. Let's just see. So here, city of Sacramento, you have 31, which makes a little more sense. So you want to narrow this search name down to as specific as you possibly can get. Can you imagine Los Angeles? So now you're going to have to figure out, is it the school? Is it the city, the county? That's why I'm saying you need this project ID number. You could put your company name in there, but I don't know how successful that will be because, again, the spelling could be wrong. That's just my 2 cents worth. You need to experiment with this. And again, be sure to try to get this project ID number. And then these payroll numbers, that's generated by DIR. And then project name, you could try using the project name. Again, I've been doing this for a while. It's just time consuming. And then your certified payrolls. Okay, let's say you do find your particular project. This is a shortcut. You can hit this download PDF and you're going to get this download up here. And this is why I said be careful about the information you input, because now here's a certified payroll and this is publicly available. This is what some of the third-party distractors, in other words, there's some groups out there who are reviewing this information, and if they find inconsistencies, it could lead to possible complaint and then subsequently a DIR investigation. So this is publicly available. You see how easy it was for me to find it, but that's publicly available right here. All I did was hit eCPR search and narrowed it down. Let's go back to contractor registration search. You're going to follow the same steps here, but this is a nightmare. What I did last year, I kept hitting this search right here. And I would go, why am I not getting any information? Well, it's because you have to search down here. Why? Look, I'm not the designer here. I'm just the messenger. So just be careful here. And again, you can see there's there's 118,000 registrations, 117,000 listings here. I pulled all this information yesterday and there's only 32,000 that are active. So that means there's a lot of waste here. If you're doing a contractor search, you're going to need to know specific name. So if your company's in here, check it out. And this is what you're looking at here. This is the best source. If you registered and paid, you're going to have this PWCR. I would strongly recommend in your keyword search, you enter that 10-digit number. Otherwise, who knows if DIR has you registered and whether the PWCR is correct. The reason being is this system is going to show an old PWCR and a new PWCR. Make sure you have the correct PWCR. Then you can go around and you can try to use all this other information, but it's just a matter of trial and error. Project registration. We're going to go down that same route. Here we have a number. And this is what gets really screwy. You can see all the different numbers here. And you can see the most active one is this 202-400-100, this particular number. So I'm going to grab this number. It happens to be the project ID number. But, and with many of my clients, it took us a while to figure out, is this the project registration number? Or is it the project ID number? So be sure when you're looking at this, when you're doing a search, to tie it to the project. Again, use these breadcrumbs, okay, because they don't have a back. So I'm not going to hit this back button. I'm just going to hit this project number here. You can try to search under all of these other random methods. Here's your project ID number. Now, I said, you've got this project number, you have this number here, then you have this project ID number here. Then you have your start and end date. I wouldn't even try to search under that because you're going to get a million different results. So here, I'm just going to type in this particular number, edit, paste. You're going to have to hit the search, and there you go. That's the best way to do this. If you're new to this whole thing and you don't have this project ID number, then call up the awarding agent, City of Sacramento, County of Sacramento, City of San Francisco. Talk to whoever's in charge of that particular project and make sure you have this project ID number. Yeah, it's confusing. For newbies, you'll pull your hair out going, well, how do I find this particular information? And once you get to that information, let's find a real project. You can see that's a test. This is a test. Test. They're using the same thing I did. In other words, I copied them when I did that test registration. But if you have a real project, you're going to see it's Anaheim Union High School. And you can see the dates. This was in 2016. Really? Why do they have something listed back in 2016? Why don't they have stuff listed for the last 18 months, which is relevant? But it was easier to pull all the database information under one simple software command. But that being said, you can click this and then you can get some information here. You can see Cypress High School, and you can grab this information even though there's this red dot. Just highlight it and hit Control C. All right, that's Control Copy. You can right click and copy, even though it's trying to block you from doing that. You can see the awarding body. Here's what I keep saying. Anaheim Union High School is the awarding body. If you run into problems, you have a contract and you're not sure where to find this project ID number, or they delayed and haven't forwarded to you, make sure you have this number. And then you can see how screwy this is. You have this ID number, okay, and then you have this project ID number. That's the challenges you're going to face. And then it just goes into some of the other preliminary information. This was just patched work together. because it was 2016. Let's see if we can find something. Let's say start date, and you can do this. You can see here, you can click this and put it in different order from most recent to, you can see that somebody's playing a game here. So go scroll down. And again, this is another foolish thing by DIR. They're giving you 20 different listings. Well, they should have a selection where you could see 200 projects or 500 projects at one time. Hint, DIR, help us out. Show more projects, because there's only 598,000 pages to search from. So you can see where you can run into some problems there. Now, here we have this project, we have a start date, and we have this project ID. So this number here should match this number here for newer projects. And then you have this other information that you probably want to note in your, actually in a hard copy notebook, so you have it available. A lot of information here in order to navigate all this stuff. Then in terms of who's tied to this project contractors, no limit construction, so I have no idea what that means. All right. So there's going to just be a lot of just stuff here because of this system. And it's up to you to decipher this. Again, I'm just trying to point out the nuances here. The services, not relevant. Your information, I'm not going to click this because it's my information. The information I have on this particular link is only a test site. I just don't want the public to know some of my private information. So that being said, you can check this out. Confused? Yeah, a lot of people are initially. You're gonna have to spend a little bit of time to work through this stuff and experiment. If you're confused and you don't understand DIR projects, as I've said in other videos, I have a bunch of courses available that will help you or protect you from the challenges doing these types of public works projects in California. Check out laborcompliancegroup.com. I have 7 different courses here that will guide you through either California Public Works projects or Davis-Bacon projects. If you're completely new to this whole thing, this is the course you want to take. It's $275, big deal. The average penalty for a DIR project exceeds over $80,000. You don't want to go down that route. 6 hours long. It'll provide you the critical information you need to understand the DIR demands of anyone doing public works projects. Navigating DIR is cumbersome. These public work projects have a ton of information, and if you don't know how to read the information, then you're going to make up stuff. And when you start making up stuff, you're going to be subject to possible penalties. So my suggestion is invest a little bit of money and protect your company, protect your well-being, because I deal with people every day that are subject to these critical DIR investigations. And what happens is somebody will report that they're being underpaid, prevailing wages, and that will open the door to DIR scrutiny. You don't want to go down that route. If you have any questions, you're confused, you have concerns, comments, I'll do my best to try to help you out. Brad Williams, Labor Compliance Group. Thanks for watching. Hope that helped. See you soon.